"I can't walk fast or speak fancy, sir," said the big settler woman. He just smiled and said, "Then stay slow with me." Mabel's hand froze on the barn door. The white leather pumps lay crumpled against the hay bales, stained dark red from toe to heel. Sunday shoes. The kind Alice Morrison wore to church every week before she disappeared 3 months ago. Jesus! Mabel's voice cracked in the empty space. Her knees buckled as she recognized the small silver buckles Alice always polished so carefully. Blood had dried thick between the straps. Gravel crunched outside. Car doors slammed. Mabel's heart hammered against her ribs as she shoved the shoes behind a feed sack. Heavy boots approached the barn. "Morning, Mrs. Patterson." Sheriff Dawson filled the doorway, his badge catching morning light. Deputy Riley flanked him, hand resting on his holster. "Sheriff, mind if we take a look around?" "You got a warrant?" Dawson smiled coldly. "Just being neighborly. Heard you might have some information about Alice Morrison." "Don't know anything about Alice." "That's so." He stepped closer. "Funny thing, her car was found 2 miles from here. Blood on the seats." Mabel's throat went dry. "Lots of cars pass through. Not many stop." His eyes swept the barn. "You've been keeping to yourself lately. People notice things like that. People should mind their business. Alice Morrison is my business." He moved toward the hay bales. "Her family's asking questions. Important family. The kind that gets governors on the phone." Mabel stepped sideways, blocking his path. "I told you I don't know anything." "You're shaking, Mrs. Patterson. I don't like strange men in my barn." "Strange men?" Dawson chuckled. "I've been sheriff here for 15 years. Known your family since before you were born." His voice dropped. "Before your daddy lost this land the first time." The threat hung heavy between them. Mabel felt the weight of the shoes behind her, felt generations of silence pressing down. Her hands clenched into fists. "You threatening me, Sheriff?" "Just stating facts." He leaned closer. "This land's got a history of changing hands. Be a shame if it happened again." Mabel stared into his cold eyes. Fear crawled up her spine, but something else rose with it. Something that had been buried too long. "Get off my property." Sheriff Dawson didn't move. His boots stayed planted in the barn doorway, like he'd grown roots. Deputy Riley shifted behind him, nervous energy radiating off the younger man. "Now, Mrs. Patterson, that's no way to talk to law enforcement." Dawson's voice carried the smooth threat of a snake. "Especially when we're trying to help." "Help who?" "Find the truth about Alice Morrison. I already told you the truth. You told me you don't know anything." "That's different." He stepped deeper into the barn, despite her words. "See, Alice was asking questions before she disappeared. Questions about this property, about what happened here 30 years ago." Mabel's blood turned to ice water. "Don't know what you mean." "Your daddy never told you about the Morrison girl, the first one?" "My daddy's been dead 10 years. "Convenient." Dawson picked up a rusted horseshoe from the workbench, turned it over in his hands. "That Morrison girl was found in a well." "Right here on this land." Gase went cold real quick. "That's got nothing to do with me." "Maybe not." But Alice thought differently. "She came to see me 6 months ago with old newspaper clippings, police reports. Said she was writing some kind of family history." His eyes found hers. "Said this land should never have been sold to your daddy in the first place." The pieces clicked together in Mabel's mind, like bullets sliding into a chamber. Alice wasn't just missing. She'd been digging, asking the wrong questions to the wrong people. "You killed her. That's a serious accusation." "You killed her because she found something." "I didn't kill anybody." Dawson set down the horseshoe with deliberate care. "But people die all the time in rural places. Accidents happen. Wells cave in. Houses catch fire." Riley cleared his throat. "Sheriff, maybe we should..." "Should what, Deputy?" "Leave this nice lady alone?" Dawson's smile turned predatory. "When she's clearly hiding evidence in a murder investigation?" Mabel felt the walls closing in. The shoes behind the feed sack seemed to burn through the burlap. Every breath felt borrowed. "What do you want?" "Smart question." Dawson moved closer. "I want you to forget Alice Morrison ever existed. I want you to stop asking questions you shouldn't ask. And I want you to remember that this land has a way of swallowing up troublesome women." After Dawson left, Mabel's hands shook so hard she could barely hold the barn door steady. The threat echoed in her ears. This land has a way of swallowing up troublesome women. She knew exactly what well he meant. The old stone well sat 50 yards behind the house, covered by rotting boards her daddy had nailed down when she was 12. Said it wasn't safe. Said to stay away. But Alice Morrison had been asking questions about it. Mabel pried up the boards with a crowbar. The wood splintered like old bones. Below, darkness stretched down into the earth like an open mouth. She dropped a pebble. It fell for 3 seconds before hitting water. Jesus Christ! She lowered a flashlight on a rope. 20 feet down, something white caught the beam. Not bones, paper, plastic wrapped tightly around what looked like a file folder. It took an hour to fish it up with a coat hanger and fishing line. The plastic had held. Inside, newspaper clippings from 1994. Photos of a young woman with Alice Morrison's eyes. Headlines screamed about Sarah Morrison, age 19, found dead in a well. Case closed after 2 weeks. Accidental drowning, but the police report told a different story. Multiple contusions consistent with blunt force trauma. Evidence of sexual assault. Well contaminated before proper investigation. The signature at the bottom made Mabel's stomach drop. Sheriff Thomas Dawson, a younger man but the same cold signature. His daddy. Mabel's voice cracked. The bastard's daddy. More papers. Land deeds showing the Morrison family had owned this property for 60 years before her daddy bought it in 1995. 1 year after Sarah died. The purchase price was half the assessed value. Seller listed as Morrison Family Trust, managed by Sheriff Thomas Dawson. They sold it to get rid of the evidence. The final document was a handwritten letter dated 6 months ago. Alice's careful script filled 3 pages. She'd found Sarah's diary, found evidence that Sheriff Thomas Dawson had been stalking Sarah Morrison for months, found witnesses who'd seen his patrol car at the property the night she died. The well was her grave, and they sold it to bury the truth. Mabel looked up at her house, at the land 3 generations of her family had worked. Blood money, built on a dead girl's bones. And now Dawson's son was ready to kill again, to keep the secret buried. Not this time. Mabel clutched the papers against her chest when the black sedan pulled into her driveway. Not a patrol car. Something sleeker, more expensive. The kind of vehicle that meant serious trouble or serious help. A tall man in a pressed suit stepped out. He moved differently than Dawson. Careful, respectful. He knocked on her front door instead of barging into her barn. Mrs. Patterson. My name is James Wright. I work for the State Attorney General's office. Mabel opened the door, but kept the chain latched. State? Yes, ma'am. I'm investigating some irregularities in local law enforcement. May I come in? You got identification? He held up a badge and credentials. Real ones, not the tin star garbage Dawson carried. I understand Sheriff Dawson paid you a visit this morning. How'd you know that? We've been watching him. Wright's voice was calm, patient. Mrs. Patterson, I know this is frightening, but I think you might have information that could help us. Mabel unlatched the chain. Something about his manner felt genuine, or maybe she was just desperate for someone to believe her. Information about what? Alice Morrison, Sarah Morrison, the connection between their deaths. You know about Sarah? We know Sheriff Dawson's father closed that case too quickly. We know this land changed hands under suspicious circumstances. And we know Alice Morrison contacted our office 3 weeks before she disappeared. Mabel's knees went weak. Alice had reached out for help. She called you? She did. Said she had evidence of corruption going back 30 years. Said she was afraid for her life. Wright sat down at her kitchen table without invitation. The next day, she vanished. Dawson killed her, we believe so. But believing and proving are different things. His eyes were kind, but sharp. We need evidence, witnesses, something that will hold up in court. Mabel thought about the papers hidden in her coat pocket, about Alice's shoes in the barn, about the well that had swallowed 2 Morrison women and might swallow her next. Why should I trust you? Because I'm David Wright's son. The governor appointed me specifically to investigate rural corruption. Because I have resources that Dawson can't touch. And because if we don't stop him now, you'll be the next woman to disappear. What do you need? Everything you know, everything you've found, and the courage to testify when the time comes. Wright's smile was gentle, but Mabel caught something else underneath. Ambition, political calculation. The question was whether his goals aligned with justice or just his own advancement. Mabel pulled the papers from her coat pocket and spread them across the kitchen table. Wright leaned forward, his eyes scanning the documents. Alice's handwriting, police reports, land deeds. The whole ugly truth lay bare. Alice found all this? In the well. Same well where Sarah Morrison died. Mabel's voice was steady now. Sheriff Dawson's daddy killed her. Sold our family the land to bury it. Now his son's doing the same thing. These police reports show clear evidence of a cover-up. There's more. Mabel walked to the window, looked toward the barn. Alice's shoes are out there. The ones she wore to church. Blood all over them. Wright's pen stopped moving. You found physical evidence? Hidden them behind feed sacks. Dawson came sniffing around this morning, but I kept him away. Mrs. Patterson, do you understand what this means? Means 2 women are dead, and the men who killed them think they can get away with it. She turned from the window. Means my family's been living on blood money for 30 years. We can protect you. Can you? Mabel sat back down, her hands flat on the table. Can you protect me from a man who's got the whole county in his pocket? Who's got deputies and judges and God knows who else? I can if you trust me. I don't trust you easily, Mr. Wright. Been burned too many times. Her eyes met his. But I got a choice. Stay quiet and let him kill me anyway, or speak up and maybe stop him from killing someone else. What's your decision? Mabel thought about Sarah Morrison, 19 years old, and thrown down a well like trash. Thought about Alice asking questions nobody wanted answered. Thought about all the women who'd stayed silent before her. I can't walk fast or speak fancy, Mr. Wright, but I can tell the truth plain. And I can stand up when it matters. Then we have work to do. Yes, sir, we do. Wright's phone buzzed 30 minutes later. He glanced at the screen and his jaw tightened. Sheriff Dawson's coming back. He's got 3 patrol cars with him, running scared. Men like Dawson don't run. They doubled down. Wright stood and straightened his tie. Mrs. Patterson, I need you to stay calm. Let me do the talking. This is my land. My fight. It's our fight now. Car doors slammed outside. Boots on gravel. Dawson's voice carried through the walls. Surround the house. Nobody leaves without my say-so. Wright stepped onto the porch. Mabel followed, the evidence folder clutched in her hands. Dawson stood in her front yard with 3 deputies, all of them armed. His face was red with rage. Right. Should have known you'd stick your nose in state business. This is state business, Sheriff. Has been since Alice Morrison contacted us. Alice Morrison was a troubled woman who got herself lost in the woods. Alice Morrison was murdered. Just like Sarah Morrison 30 years ago. Wright's voice carried the authority of his office. Just like you planned to murder Mrs. Patterson. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious crime. Mabel stepped forward. Got the proof right here. Dawson's hand moved to his holster. You don't know what you're messing with, old woman. I know plenty. Mabel opened the folder. Know your daddy killed Sarah Morrison. Now he sold this land cheaply to cover it up. Know you killed Alice for asking questions? Prove it. Wright smiled coldly. Mrs. Patterson found Alice's research. Police reports your father falsified. Land records showing the suspicious sale. And Alice's shoes in your barn. My barn? Dawson's eyes narrowed. You planted evidence. Blood evidence doesn't lie. Mabel's voice was steady as stone. Alice's DNA is all over them Sunday shoes. Same DNA the state lab's gonna find when they test what's left in that well. You can't prove anything. Already did. Wright held up his phone. State forensics team's been here since dawn. Drained the well. Found Alice's body. Found Sarah Morrison's remains underneath. The color drained from Dawson's face. His deputies stepped back, suddenly uncertain. That's impossible. DNA evidence, ballistics, 30 years of corruption documented. Wright stepped closer. Your family's done, Sheriff. Both generations. Mabel watched Dawson's world crumble. No violence, no gunfight, just truth, patient and slow and unstoppable. Justice moves like water through stone. Sometimes the strongest thing is staying put, she said, letting the truth find its way up. 3 hours later, Mabel watched from her porch as state troopers led Dawson away in handcuffs. His deputies had turned on him fast once the evidence came out. 30 years of corruption crumbling in a single afternoon. Wright sat beside her on the porch swing, his suit jacket folded over the railing. Forensics confirmed both bodies. Sarah Morrison and Alice Morrison. The same weapon killed them both. Dawson's service revolver. His daddy's gun? Passed down like a family curse. Wright loosened his tie. Alice's research was right about everything. The cover-up. The land sale. All of it. What happens to my property? It stays yours. Your family bought it in good faith. The Morrison estate won't contest ownership. He turned to look at her. But there's something else. What? The governor wants to appoint a new sheriff for this county. Someone clean. Someone the community trusts. Wright's voice was careful. He's offering me the position. Mabel felt something shift in her chest. Hope mixed with fear. You taking it? Depends. On what? On whether you think this place is worth staying for. Wright's eyes met hers. On whether a woman who speaks plain truth wants to build something real with a man who values that. You don't know me. I know enough. He reached over and took her calloused hand in his. I know you stood up when it mattered. I know you chose truth over safety. I know you're stronger than any man I've met. I can't walk fast or speak fancy, Mr. Wright, James, and I don't need you to. His smile was gentle, real. I need you to stay exactly who you are. Mabel looked out over her land. The well was sealed now, marked with a memorial stone for the Morrison women. The barn stood clean, the blood washed away. The property felt different, lighter, like a weight had been lifted from the very soil. This place has seen enough running away, she said. Enough secrets buried in the ground, so you'll stay? I'll stay, she squeezed his hand. But not alone anymore, never alone. The sun was setting over the fields, painting everything golden. For the first time in 30 years, the land felt peaceful. 2 women could rest now. Justice had come slowly, quietly, but it had come. James, yes? You ever think about what it means to stay slow with someone? I'm starting to understand, Mabel smiled. Sometimes the best things took time to grow. Sometimes staying put was the bravest thing you could do.